Hello. So today we're going to play a game called Guess My Birth Year. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 3 historical events. They're not big, major historical events that you might read about in a history book, but they're just events that happened in history. And I'm going to give you 2 hints among those 3 events. We're going to see if you can figure out when my birthday was and what year I was born. Okay, so in February 11th, 1942, the comic book Archie came out. First debut, okay? And many of us, if you remember your childhood, you might have seen some of these comic books come out. They were with little, like, kind of teenage children, you know, redheaded guy, had 2 friends that were girls and just loved attractive girls and kind of chased them around and all that stuff. So it debuted in 1942. It debuted at the Archie Publications comic book company, which was in Pelham, New York. It was kind of based off of the traveling of this publisher. This publisher traveled through the Midwest and Kansas, and the people that he met during his job sighting and all this stuff, he kind of built the characters around this. Okay. Archie's first appeared in the Pep Comics, and is also the title of the longest running comic that this comic book firm puts out. Okay. This comic was made 47 years before I was born. Okay, so that's a hint for you. Okay, the second one that happened during my birthday was on February 11th, 1964. The Beatles had their first concert in the United States. And it happened at the Washington, D.C. Coliseum. It was a really big event. This appearance in the U.S. established the Beatles as an international band. Made them really big, really famous. And it kind of changed the attitudes towards popular music in these states. What was popular, what wasn't popular. Okay? This great day in 1964 was advertised across the United States by 5 billion advertisements. Little posters were all over the place. And it began the British music invasion. Okay, so that started all this British music we have today. The third great event that happened on February 11th happened in 1990. Nelson Mandela was released from prison after being in prison for 27 years. Nelson Mandela was a political activist that believed in South Africa he had an ideal to have a democratic, free society where everyone lived in harmony. And so he was in prison because he was a big activist in this communist country at the time. Okay? Shortly after his release, he led South Africa to that ideal and ended up gaining that ground and getting to the point where South Africa had that democratic, free society and where blacks and whites could live in harmony. Nelson Mandela was released on February 11th, 1990, and that was a year after I was born. So, after all of these things, what do you think my birthday was? If you guessed it was 1989, you are correct. I am 26 years old.